Welcome in the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Michael on Twitter. And I'm joined as always by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Vols on Twitter. What are you up to, you big Tennessee homer?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, how does it feel, Shane, to be 2-0? There's only about half the league can say it, and cousin Shane is in that category. Must feel great.
Oh, man, it's bittersweet, Mike, but I ain't going to lie, man. I've been dodging them Aggies. Or I shouldn't say the Aggies. I'm supportive of them, but I've had a lot of those folks that have blown up my mentions reminding me that I was the only one to have Texas A&M winning an SEC championship. But, I don't want that to put shade over my Tennessee Volunteers going up to Pittsburgh and getting a victory up there. That was a hell of a sight as well. Great football this weekend, Mike. Absolutely. Dirty, ugly, nasty games. But, man, there were some people that barely got away with a victory and some less fortunate.
Well, as you wisely texted me, Shane, during this right after the A&M game, you said, well, hell, they're still undefeated in SEC play, so
that's
a lot
right.
to get to. We'll get to A&M in just a minute, Shane, but hey, we got to do a little mea culpa here. Let's start with what it was probably the game of the week, not only in the SEC, but that the country, really. Alabama holds on 20-19, beats Texas on the road. And why I say mea culpa, Shane, I got to give respect to them Texas Longhorns and those fans. I don't know if you saw it. We were, putting it out on the Twitter feed and everything, but these people were showing up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm talking thousands upon thousands of people just lined up, ready to get into that stadium. It was a crazy, crazy environment. 15 penalties on Alabama, so uncharacteristic.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, you have to put a lot of that on the crowd, and just, the showing there in Austin, that game lived up to the hype. There was a lot of people hyping it up. We were hyping it down. We could not have been more wrong. I mean, Alabama was lucky to survive that game. Don't you think?
Dude, very lucky. Very lucky. And, of course, I'm seeing a couple of pictures and videos after the game where they really got lucky, it looked like. A couple penalties didn't get called. So, no, they were truly lucky. I was, I probably should apologize. I hate to say it, but here's a program that sooner than later is going to find its way in the SEC, and this may be the last time they play at noon. I'll tell you that. But this was an ugly fought game, and if Alabama didn't have a few breaks go their way, they're walking away the biggest upset of the night, and I know that's crazy because you got Texas A&M and App State, but we were expecting 40-point game here, Mike. We weren't expecting anything. There was a 20-something point spread. Vegas wasn't expecting anything, but this team came out and they fought, and they fought hard. And like I said, if a couple of breaks didn't fall Alabama's way, we're talking a different story today, man.
Yeah, and I promise I'll get to the game in just a minute, Shane. But hell, even if you hate Texas, if you hate Alabama, like so many probably listen to this do, and you were rooting for one, or hell, some people probably rooting them for both to lose. You know what I mean? But this, if nothing else, Shane, cemented in my mind that Texas is going to be one hell of a fit in the SEC.
Yeah.
Because this was, it's very, very rare that they get the Crimson Tide in Austin, and it just has me thinking, Shane, it won't be long until the Volunteers are in Austin. LSU, I know they did it a couple years ago, but that was a hell of a game. Florida Gators, Mississippi State, Georgia Bulldogs, on and on and on. I mean, each time they make that first trip to Austin, it's going to be special. And the reverse, when Texas comes to Nashville, when they come to Oxford, when they come to Starkville, I mean, the SEC's already the king, man, but this is just going to make it that much more exciting when we get some new, fresh games with some elite teams and players and coaches. I can't wait for it.
Well, and it's shots fired, Mike. Here's a program we were expecting to blow out, and the narrative was, you're not in the SEC yet, but now you've got these fans showing up 7 o'clock in the morning. We saw the videos. I mean, it was just they were ready, man. Alabama came into a buzzsaw there, and hell, if that quarterback didn't get hurt, I don't know, man. It could have played differently. So
yeah,
this was a hell of a game, and just like I said, a small taste of what's coming in the future. And the thing is, with Texas, it's bright. You got Arch Manning coming in. You've got these it's a young team. By the time they hit the SEC, Steve and company, they may be ready for the SEC. So, hell, they are. They about took down number 1 Alabama. It's a feat we didn't think was going to happen. Right. So, but, at the end of the day, it was an ugly win, but it was a win, brother.
Yeah, and so focusing on the game, Shane, Jace McClellan had an 80-yard touchdown run near the end of the first quarter. Mm-hmm. And I even tweeted it out, Shane. I was like, well, by God, I didn't think it'd take this long for Alabama's first 80-yard touchdown. I thought we were going to get 80-yard touchdowns in this ball game. But that was pretty much the highlight of Alabama up until the fourth quarter. And like so many missed opportunities for Texas, Shane. They dropped an interception. They dropped the touchdown. Xavier Worthy, who he had a great game, but he dropped a wide-open touchdown, would have been huge. Like you said, Quinn Ewers knocked out from the game. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks, they're saying now. So, I mean, this was a serious penalty. Mm-hmm. The backup quarterback, Hudson Card, they brought in, he got banged up, but I thought he was a warrior. He had a hell of a game. Texas missed a 20-yard field goal. I didn't even know you could miss something like that right before halftime. And how about this, Shane? I mean, we have to talk about this, but the worst damn targeting call I think I have ever seen in my life. And if you missed it, I mean, it should have been a safety. And I understand Alabama. Some of the Bama fans were coming at me like, what the hell are you talking about, you damn Bama hater? Like, his elbow wasn't even down. And I get that, but I'll share it on the YouTube page, Shane. I took a screenshot of it. Both of his feet were above his waist. And he's throwing the football.
Right.
And they're sitting here saying, well, he's trying to throw it to this guy over here. Like, no, you can't be upside down. And that's not a intentional grounding. You know what I mean? Like, however you want to slice it, that should have been a safety for Texas. And why is that so big? I know there was much time left in the game, but hell, you're talking a 2-point differential in a 1-point ball game. Terrible, terrible officiating, missed field goal, or missed face mask, missed holdings. And this was an Alabama team that had probably a record for the Saban era, 15 penalties. Just a very uncharacteristic Alabama
over 100 yards. Over 100 yards in penalties, and the bad thing was it wasn't just the penalties; it was the timing of these penalties. Mm-hmm. There was, the extended drives that could have ended. It was just terrible. All the way to the very end. Hell, you got coach running out there yelling at his players for doing the horns down. The one penalty they didn't get the entire game, which I thought was hilarious. But this was it was an ugly fought game, and hell, they're probably running right now. There's this. I want to ask you, Mike, because I'm watching this thing and I'm trying to figure out is Texas. This is my thought process. Is Texas better than we think they are? Or is Alabama worse than we thought they were? So I coming away from that game, we're 2 games in with Alabama, mm-hmm. and 2 different programs have stepped on the field. What is your pulse on the Crimson Tide right now? Are they, I know you came out with your power rankings and whatnot, but I'm just, are you worried after this game, or was this the wake up call this crew needed?
Yeah, I think it's a big of both, Shane. I think Alabama maybe not, but this is something I've been saying all off season. I don't expect them to run through the SEC like everyone anticipated. They were calling it revenge season. They were going to kill everybody, and I'm sitting here saying, well, this is a team that struggled against LSU. They were god awful. They lost to A&M, who lost multiple games. Mm-hmm. They got worked by Georgia in the championship. There was other games. I mean, Arkansas, Tennessee. There was a lot of games. Auburn. Hell, yeah, they should have lost to Auburn. I mean, this was not one of the all-time teams, and I don't understand people saying that. But, like we've been saying, Texas was a hell of a lot better. They came ready to play, and I think it was certainly a lot easier for Texas to get up for this game than it is Alabama. considering, all the hoopla of number one coming to town and all the energy and enthusiasm and everybody saying you're going to get your ass whooped in front of your home crowd. So, I think it's a little bit of mix of both, Shane, and something we talked about leading up to the show. We're going to introduce now moving forward. I wish we had this idea sooner, but we're going to give weekly awards during these Monday shows. And the one I want to give, there's two from this game, Shane. Clutch Player of the Week. We got to hand it to the Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young. He's my Clutch Player of the Week. Like I said, they struggled for so much of this ball game, yet when the game was on the line in the fourth quarter, my man was locked in. He was unstoppable, and that's hard to do when you're having so little success for so long. I don't think Alabama – here's a big issue with Alabama, Shane. I don't think they got a difference maker at receiver, and that's why they had to hit the transfer portal, because for whatever reason, I don't know. Their receivers are not developing. They bring in Jermaine Burton, who is okay. They bring in the guy from Louisville who's yet to play, they say is a speed demon. So maybe they just desperately need him on the field. But Bryce Young, Shane, would not be denied late in this game. He's making guys miss. He's keeping his eyes down the field. And, for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. At the tail end of the game, Shane, they're down. There's about 30 seconds left in the ball game. And they got 3 plays. And really, they're already in field goal range. They're just trying to make it more of a chip shot field goal. They threw it all 3 times, and they had timeouts. They had at least one timeout remaining. I couldn't understand why in the hell they were throwing the ball. I mean, clearly you could have an interception and it would be ball game, but they just have so much confidence in Bryce Young to not make a stupid mistake that I think that says a lot about a guy that is really just in his second year playing. And I don't know how many quarterbacks Nick Saban have ever asked to put in that situation. And because normally when you think of Alabama, you think of just incredible defense and running the ball. Yet, this is a complete 180 where it's the offense is driving the thing.
Absolutely. And that old saying, ice in the veins. Well, that's why he's my clutch player of the week as well, Mike, just because those last 3 drives. And it's funny, from a Tennessee fan, and we'll get to them here in a minute, but it's always like, we're going to screw this one up at some point. It's like, this is it. Knew it was going to happen. But then when you're watching a game and that Bryce is in control, and you're like, there's none of that. It's just what's about to happen. That's kind of what you just know. There's something great about to happen when he's under center, and those last 3 drives just cemented the fact that I still believe he's the best quarterback in the country. I mean, if you're going into a battle, and this is what NFL teams are looking at, man. If it comes down, which kicked off today, and there was some terrible quarterback play, and I'm sure there's a few of them teams would love to have Bryce on there right now because he was just cool, calm, and collective, man. Yeah,
and one other award I got, Shane, for this ball game, Special Teams Player of the Week, Will Reichert, game-winning field goal. He nailed another 50-yarder. I mean, this guy's got ice water in his veins. Given everything that happened in this game, I understand it was not like an incredibly difficult field goal to win the ball game, but I don't know about you, Shane, but everything was going Texas's way for the most part. I expected a block or a miss or something wild to happen, but he has completely smashed that old adage of Alabama kickers go miss. You know what I mean? I mean, he just makes every damn kick he takes. So I'm giving him Special Teams Player of the Week as well. 2 awards for the Crimson Tide. I think this obviously was a much, much, much tougher game than we anticipated. But, hey, it ain't easy to win on the road. Alabama got it done.
No, and there was a lot of terrible special teams play this weekend. So that is a great highlight from you, Mike. I mean, he was clutch just as well. I mean, it's like you kept expecting something to happen. Like, you just felt like this was going to be an upset. I don't know about you, Mike, but you had it after that second half. You just like, wait a minute, is Alabama really going to lose to Texas here? Yeah. But man, he just came out there and put that shit right through the upright.
Coach, can you talk about Bryce Young's composure? We saw it in the Iron Bowl. We saw it again. How that moment just isn't too big for him.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of confidence in our offense. We went for it and needed an inch and didn't get it, which we could have kicked a field goal there and went up by 4 and made them score a touchdown. If they'd have scored a touchdown, we'd have probably never got the ball back. I knew that if we could, shrink the game enough that we got the ball back, that he'd do a good job in 2 minutes. He does it all the time. So Players made plays when they had to make them. He made them the drive before that and that particular drive. And to get us down there when we didn't make it on fourth down. So 3 straight drives in a row kind of took the game over.
Nick, why is Bryce so good at his too many goals? Is it about him?
Why is he so good? I mean, if I could actually tell you that, I don't know if I'd be doing this. And this is a pretty good job I got, but I'd have a better one. No, he's the guy studies, he prepares well for the game, he understands exactly what the defense is in and what they're going to do. He understands protections, he knows how to protect himself, knows when he's got to throw the ball hot. He's athletic enough to extend plays and make plays, and he's accurate throwing the ball, and he's very, very instinctive. I mean, he plays quarterback like a point guard in basketball. And, it's just he's got talent, but he doesn't just play with his talent. He's very well prepared and knows exactly what the game plan is and what he needs to do to execute it. And, players around him got to play well too. Quarterback's a hard position to play when the players around you don't play well.
And those 5 straight 3-and-outs, what was the inconsistency?
Well, we didn't block them very well up front. Didn't protect very well, got pressure in the pocket, wasn't very effective throwing the ball, didn't get people open, probably need to do a better job from a planning standpoint the way they played us. So, just all comes down to execute. When you're playing games like this, you got to focus on what's in front of you. You can't worry about all the other stuff that's going on, what people say, what they say on ESPN, what you all say, how much you're favored in the game. You got to focus on what's in front of you. If you're an offensive lineman, that's the guy you got to block. If you're a receiver, that's the guy you got to beat. If you're a quarterback, you got to take what the defense gives you. If you're a runner, you got to press the hole and make the right cuts. So we didn't do any of that stuff the way we need to. All right, so it wasn't just one thing. But you got to be able to stay focused on that, and then you can't put yourself behind the 8-ball. We get so many second and long and third and longs, all right, that you're at a real disadvantage to yourself. So we got to do a better job on all those downs so we don't put ourselves in those situations.
Well, speaking of an upset, Shane, we got to hit on it. This was not the number 2 game of the day by any means, but it was arguably the biggest story in college football. Appalachian State goes into College Station, knocks off the Aggies 17-14. And literally, I'm going to give you the highlights, Shane, from A&M. Devon Achane had a 26-yard rushing score, and he had a kickoff return touchdown. That's it. I mean, that's it. I mean, this is
terrible, Mike.
Yeah, and we were going back and forth on this, Shane. I mean, I'm not ready to sit here, and I don't want to pile on the Aggies or anything and pat myself on the back because, hell, I get so much wrong. We could sit here and do a whole show on what I get wrong. But, man, I don't know where we go from here, Shane. And I mean, do you see any hope for this team? The only silver lining I see, Shane, there's so much youth. I mean, that was something they played up in Sam Houston. We had 26 freshmen on the field, and they were making plays left and right. So maybe this is just the inconsistency you're going to get. But we're sitting here, Shane, we just extended Jimbo for some reason, and he's got $90 million guaranteed. I mean, I don't even know if A&M's got $90 million in their back pocket to buy him out and then turn around and try to bring in Urban Meyer or something crazy like that. So where do we go from here? How do we salvage this thing, Shane?
Well, I don't think you can fire Jimbo, and I'm not putting him on the hot seat just yet. But I saw an interesting thing come out the other day. They were comparing him and Sumlin's, first X amount of games, and it was very comparable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you don't think about it that way because you get enamored by the recruiting classes and all the 5 stars that's coming down there to College Station, but just because they tell you they're good doesn't mean they are good. And this team, 2 games in, is no closer to being a complete ball club than they were, in fall camp. So that's what's discouraging for me is I'm not seeing any improvement. It's not like they killed it week 1 and then came out and and got tripped up on a that's not what happened here, Mike. This is 2 weeks in a row that they struggled against teams that they should not. This defense has done everything they can to stay in these ball games. I will say, if there is any silver lining, is the defense, but even then they had trouble getting App State off the court. Shit. Even then they had trouble getting App State off the field. We're talking type of possession. I think it was like 40-something minutes to 10 or 15.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. App State came in there. They shortened the game. They kept the chains moving. They did exactly what they were supposed to, and it felt like we weren't creative enough to trip them up. We weren't creative enough to get some of these 4- or 5-star talent that we've been touting all offseason. The ball, Haynes King is off, man. He's, I'm not ready to say he's not the quarterback, but damn, Mike, he may not be the quarterback right now. I'm not saying that he's rattled. He's missing his guys. He's throwing behind folks. He's, they're going 3 and out and 4 and out, and it's just you cannot do that. You've got to get some consistency in there, and I'm not seeing it in the play calling. I'm not seeing it. I'm not. And this offensive line is embarrassing.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any more stats of how big or how strong or don't give me that shit no more. You're getting pushed around. You're getting your teeth knocked in by Sam Houston and App State. Come on, man. There's got to be somebody's got to answer for this. And if it's not Jimbo, then it's an offensive line coach. Then it's an offensive coordinator. It's something. We've got to do something different because what we're doing right now is not working.
Well, it's his offense. He's the one calling it. He's the one running it.
I know.
And he's supposed to be this quarterback guru, and this is year after year after year. Like you said, Haynes King, maybe his future's bright. I don't want to throw this all on him. 13 of 20 for 97 yards. No touchdowns. He lost a fumble. That was a critical play. But I think the most troubling thing, Shane, they were out-physicaled, they were out-executed, and most importantly, out-coached. Texas A&M, they ran 38 plays in this ball game. 38. I mean, they had 9 first downs. They had 6 drives that were 7 plays or less. 2 of 8 on third down. And Appalachian State just went in there and basically just, took their manhood. And so, they did what Arkansas is doing to people right now. And there's not a single damn player on Appalachian's roster that Jimbo would trade for one of his own. So there ain't no excuses for this. I mean, this is just god-awful. And, I mean, there's times like Evan Stewart, you start getting a play going, and then he gets the ball punched out from him. And it's, you get one little drive, and then something bad happens, and you just have no ability to recover from that. Haynes King was getting harassed all day, and I maybe, it almost feels like he's like a triple option quarterback or something, where they look for him to run more than they do pass, or they're always looking for him to get him rolling out or get him running, and it's just, it ain't happening. And I think even for his future, I mean, you think about sitting him to kind of get his head straight, and because we got a guy sitting on the bench. I'm not saying Max Johnson's the greatest quarterback in the SEC, but he's won some big games. He's got a full season of experience, and even maybe if Max Johnson's horrible and he doesn't understand his playbook, you got a true freshman there that they're hyping up as the next Johnny Manziel. But they've been saying the same thing about Haynes King. So I don't know if I'm buying any of that bullshit, but we gotta try
the
something.
Spark, Mike. How many times have you seen a quarterback come in, even an injured, after an injury or something like that, and it just sparks? It's just something different, and I think that's what this fans wanted. I think this is what the team needed. I mean, they have been, and here's the thing, they've been scripted and game prepping for a mobile quarterback, and App State did a pretty good job containing him. What happens when you mix it up with Big Bad Brad's boy coming in there? You know what I'm saying? That's what I don't understand is, it's like it's my rules or nothing. You know, I talked a little bit earlier about Jimbo. You know, he is the offensive coordinator, but you know, sometimes you need to maybe relinquish that duty so that you can focus on the whole team. You know, because you are the CEO of that corporation, and sometimes if you're just focused on one part of it, you lose track of what's going on around you. So I don't know. Something has got to change this week. And because if it doesn't, we're going to be singing the same old thing, the same thing throughout the whole year, because we've not even hit SEC play. Right. And if you're losing to App State and Sam Houston's hanging close to you, you might as well kiss the West goodbye.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that was the final thing I was going to say about A&M, Shane. You know, these two early games, these were supposed to be the tune-ups, because we got Miami coming to town. And I don't know how good Miami is, but they're currently ranked 13th. So you got to think they're a capable program. And then after that, Arkansas away from home at Mississippi State, which beat you last year, and they're playing out of their minds right now. And then at Alabama, who we all know the storylines there. No need to rehash any of that. But, I mean, there's just literally no time to get up to speed. You got to get up to speed now. Otherwise, hell, I hate to say it, Shane, but we're sitting here staring at 1-5. If you play like you did on Saturday, you're gonna be 1-5 going into the bye week.
Golly, Mike, you fire Jim then, don't you? You know, I mean that's a lot of money. I get that. Maybe you find some cause, but I don't know. Maybe it's panic. It's Panic Monday. Huh? Yeah, no, this is. I mean, I wouldn't want to be.
I'm not sitting here saying they're going to be 1-5. That's crazy. But again, I'm saying if they play as poorly as they did on Saturday, that's not out of the question. They've got the talent to beat every team I just referenced, with the exception of maybe Alabama. So you should win 2 of these games at bare minimum. I mean, hell, A&M fans, you're expecting to beat all these teams. I would think maybe even Alabama. Yeah. Hell, you beat them last year, and Alabama. Well, we just saw Alabama struggle.
You know what this team needs, man. They need a players-only meeting. I know that sounds corny and lost, but it's just they need some leadership or something. You know,
right.
This has got to be fired up from within. I think about that LSU team a few years ago, and you know, sometimes you need that. The coaches can yell at you till they're blue in the face, but that may only get you to an 8. You need to get to a 10, because your schedule does ramp up real quick. You got a top, what are they, 15, Miami? I mean, it's a top 15 program. And then like you said, it doesn't get any easier. You got Mississippi State, you got Alabama, you got all these teams that you got to ramp up real quick to. So they need somebody to step up and take control. And hell, if it ain't Haynes King, man, then give Johnson a shot and see if he can't lead these boys, because there's plenty of talent on Texas A&M's roster. And it's just, they are young. I get that. But even young athletes, you know, still are freaking athletes. And there's a reason that there's a 5-star by their name. They are poised for breakout, and they just got to be guided. And sometimes it's not from a coach, it's from a player. So I don't know, man. They need something. They just need to mix it up this week, brother, because if not, they're going to fall behind.
I know much of it is on the offensive line, but do you give another quarterback a shot moving
Possibly.
forward?
We'll evaluate everything. We'll evaluate everything. It's not just on the offensive line, guys. We had some mistakes up front, but we had some mistakes out wide. We had mistakes at tight. I mean, everybody kind of took a turn. You know what I'm saying? And when all of a sudden you only have 8 possessions, that can happen. And we'll evaluate everything we do, Brent, seriously. I mean, we'll look at everybody and what goes on, and whatever we have to do to be successful, we'll do.
Down front left, Zach.
Jimbo, after a game like that, what is the message to the team?
Right now is the time to come together. Right now is the time to go back to fundamentals, believe in each other. There's a lot of football left. There's a lot of seasons have been together, and just because you lost one game, you got to put it behind you. You can't let one become 2. And you lock into what you have. You go back to your fundamentals. You trust in each other. You circle the wagons about how you work, how you practice, and every detail matters. And hopefully that we can understand that, and we make sure we do a better job coaching. And we go play the rest of the season and have a really good season. That's what we got to do right now. I mean, it was the only time we had it. I would have, if we thought it would have went, if we'd got some more possessions, maybe so. But there hadn't been anything there. You missed the opening throw of the second half on a slant route, but we overcame that, got the first down, and moved back up. And and it was over. I mean, but at the same time, and the quarterbacks like coaches, we take all the glory and all the blame, and that goes with us. But we got to play better around him. But he has to play better too. There's no doubt. And what he had some opportunities to make some plays. What was he on today?
I'm sorry.
13 or 20. But again, that goes back like you say. You cannot do anything bad. You can't do anything good. You know what I'm saying? We got had a chance to make a couple plays. Had a post route. We overthrew by about a step late in that third drive. And then the other two little plays right there. So we'll evaluate what we have to do and do what we have to do. But it's not entirely. I mean, we got to do like the first play of that drive. We got a nice running play going on the edge, and somebody comes free inside. You know, I mean, it's a conglomerate of things. We just got to get cleaned up.
Well, Shay, we had one heck of a night game here in the Swamp, so let's kick it down next to Kentucky. Gets a big win on the road, 26-16. Credit you, Cousin Shay. You called it. You called the outright upset here, and that's Mark Stoops, brother, gets my Coach of the Week honors. I mean, all week we were hearing the soft comments. I mean, still, that's ridiculous. Even though I picked Florida to win this game outright, even I said that was the damn dumbest thing I ever heard. Kentucky soft. I mean, Kentucky may be lacking in an area or two, but soft just sure as hell ain't that at all. But man, the crowd was fired up, just like they were for Utah. Florida had all the momentum in the world. Anthony Richardson, my God, you could tell Kentucky took it personally, all the hype Anthony Richardson was getting. And it was J.J. Weaver. Shane said, we are going to make this cat beat us in the pocket. And he didn't even come close to doing that. They rattled his cage at home once he was off. Then he started throwing. I mean, it was an incredible interception. Jordan Wright, that was one of the plays of the game. And then, of course, the pick six. Florida they basically were done after that. Credit this coaching staff for making second half adjustments, because this was a tight ball game, Shane, going into half, but it was completely dominated by them Kentucky Wildcats in the second half. Will Levis, I thought, man, even I discredited him all off season. He was taking a beating. He stayed strong, did not flinch.
Yeah,
he played one of the best games he's ever played. He redeemed himself. He's played poorly on the road. He played poorly against Florida. My God, he looked like the certain draft pick over Anthony Richardson. Dane Key, the true freshman, incredible touchdown early in the ball game. This was what this was, Shane. This was SEC big boy football that you anticipate when it's like Alabama, LSU, or Auburn, LSU, those types of ball games. But that's what Florida and Kentucky are right now, and clearly Kentucky a far better team, and that was even on the road.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did awards here, Coach. I've got Mark Stoops as well, and assistant coach. I got Mr. White. I just think what they dialed up here, man. Here they touted Anthony Richardson as the next Heisman. He has one good game. That's what we do. We overreact, and we're the worst at it, Mike. So I'm not going to act like we're innocent. But the country overreacted and compared him to the Cam Newtons and the Tim Tebow videos coming out. I mean, it was there. It was in play. But this team, Kentucky, did a fantastic job scheming up defense, keeping him contained, making him win with his arm, which he was unable to do. And they were tenacious. They were in his face. They were in everywhere. I mean, sometimes I felt like there was 13 defensive backs back there. They were just all over the place. So that's why I gave him the assistant coach award. And this defense, I tell you what, it was very, very impressive. From week 1 to week 2, development, I think that's why I'm so high on Stoops, is because they didn't run a perfect game week 1, but they corrected their problems. Now, they're still having some problems up front with that offensive line, but what was crazy is at the end of the game, they were able to lean on those with the rushing attack that we didn't think we were going to have a running back, and it turns out we've got a couple of them. So Kentucky looked really good there at the back end of the stretch, and when they get all their pieces together, all the toys to play with, you better watch out. Kentucky's going to be a dangerous program.
Oh yeah, and speaking of Anthony Richardson, 14 of 35 for 130 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And, I don't think Florida fans, Shane, necessarily need to hit the panic button. I think it's just maybe, resetting the expectations that a lot of them had heading into the season. But, this may be oversimplistic, Shane, but I think the season for the Gators is basically going to go like this. We are only going to go as far as Anthony Richardson can take us. And he was only in his third start. So it is funny, Shane. Up, see, all week we, like you said, Cam Newton, Dak Prescott, next Heisman.
Yeah.
I mean, they kept saying they got the Giants are down here. I don't know who the Giant quarterback is, but by God, you're out, buddy, because they're letting them know the Giants were down there scouting their next quarterback. Is it going to be Richardson? Is it going to be Will Levis? But clearly, Will Levis, 13 of 24, 202 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
He won the day there. But back to Anthony Richardson, Shane. Now you're seeing all these people say, well, he's garbage. He can't even throw the ball. He's one of the worst quarterbacks.
No.
You said we overreact. That's what we're doing now that they lost a game. I mean, either he's Superman or he's Clark Kent. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. But what I'm trying to say, Shane, is, they cannot win a ball game if he plays this poorly. They just, and I think they'll get blown out, frankly, if they do it on the road because they're not going to have all that support. But I think Anthony Richardson, this is what we're going to get. He may have a game like this against Georgia. He may throw 7 touchdowns against Tennessee. It's going to be up and down. It's going to be a roller coaster. But he has got massive, massive potential. I'm not ready to write Anthony Richardson off. But clearly, Saturday was not his day. And Florida, another thing about Florida, Shane, I don't know how much help they really have around him outside of an improving offensive line. They do have a hell of a running back combo in Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne. I love that Etienne kid, but they are lacking at receivers, and I think it showed in this matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, they were able to get to Will Levis. I mean, there's some good stuff on the defensive side of the ball. You know, it's not like Kentucky just came out here and blew the Florida Gators out of the water. So, I mean, they were down a lot of this game. This was a tough fought ball game, and I'm not hanging up on Anthony Richardson either. I think he's he's young. He's a hell of an athlete, and and if this. They're going to need some help, though. It can't just be him and Etienne. We got to have some other players step up. And that's the one reason I think Kentucky won is just total team effort. Not all the departments were working, but the other departments were making up for it. So it felt like this was a total team win from Big Blue Nation, and man, a huge victory. Not just for the scoreboard, but just emotionally, mentally. That people are recognizing that Kentucky is legit, and I know it sounds crazy, because how many 10-win seasons they got to have to, for you to finally consider it. But going down on national stage and beating the Florida Gators, people remember that. So this is 2 times they've done it here in the last little bit. Yep. So.
And 3 out of 5.
So yeah, and come on, I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it. If you keep messing around, Kentucky, will be the well, I don't want to get too carried away, Mike. Sorry, overreacting. I'm about to do it. I was about jumped on it, about crowned them already, But I do like Coach's comments about jumping the poles.
Oh yeah.
You got to be a tough son of a bee to come into this environment and win. And we all understand that. And we know this team is built that way. We've shown it through the years. That's who we are. We're going to be a tough, hard-nosed football team and win tough games, no matter what they look like. And we may win and we may lose, but by God, we're going to be tough. And we showed that tonight.
Mark, what kind of clicked for the offensive line in the second half?
With being able to be balanced like that, it gave us we were able to lean on them a bit, and I know we weren't just gutting them or anything like that, but just those yards, controlling the clock, moving the football, being able to run the ball for the tough 4, 5, 6 yards, maybe 10 here and there, that kept them more off balance. And really had the game not played out like that, we maybe had some of our play passes still there because they were committing so hard to the run game. That's what opened some of that stuff up. You do got to protect the edges on the boots and things, and you could tell, we had to get 1 or 2 of those cleaned up after the first half.
His motivation Now that it's over, is there frustration that it feels like you still have to make these kind of statements to get this national respect?
I don't even want to play that. You guys, why don't somebody stand up and say something right? You know what I mean? So I don't even want to make a comment because it'll get thrown back in my face tenfold, and I don't need it. One thing, we're not a soft. I think you can all understand that. We may be a lot of things, but we're not that. In this environment, I mean, this place was rocking. They're just coming off a huge win, so, heck, I don't know. We must jump into the top 10, I guess, now, right? I'm just saying. I see other people jumping 20 spots. I mean, well, we. Yeah.
Speaking of overreacting, Shane, I've already done it with them Arkansas Razorbacks. Let's kick it down to the other SEC matchup we had this weekend. Arkansas takes care of business 44-30 over South Carolina. And here we got another player of the week. Shane, I'm giving defensive player of the week to Drew Sanders. Just an incredible force for the Razorbacks, Shane.
How can you not?
11
you not?
tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles. He was all over the field, wasn't he?
He really was. He's playing like his hair's on fire, and it's funny. I was like, man, he is everywhere the ball is. I've never seen such. He's like a ball magnet, It's like every time you looked up, you're like, what was the number of that? It's like, damn, he's everywhere. So, that kid, he played with his heart out Saturday.
And how about Rocket Sanders, Shane, the running back? He is now your SEC leading rusher. He was incredible in this ball game. I know it's early season, but hell, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns on 24 carries. KJ Jefferson, 18 of 21, only 162 yards, but hell, they didn't need him to do much. 1 touchdown through the air. That was kind of the game icer there for the Arkansas Razorbacks. They just ran all over the Gamecocks. And the Gamecocks, Shane, I've seen some Gamecock fans kind of freaking out, saying, oh, God, we're terrible, blah, blah. We got to fire this coordinator and all this. They had 3 turnovers. They allowed 295 rushing yards to Arkansas, which is the best rushing team in the conference. So I'm not sitting here making excuses for them. But when Arkansas comes out and scores touchdown right out the bat, I mean, you just know it's going to be a long day for you. I just think South Carolina got beat by a much superior team on the road. Again, it ain't easy, brother, in the SEC. But Spencer Rattler certainly could have played a better game. He missed a couple deep balls. Could have had some touchdowns there that he overshot. But he was 23 of 38, 371, a touchdown and an interception. Again, he didn't look like a world beater, but I don't think the game looked too big for him either. So, they're going to have to get that fixed. They couldn't rush the ball 40 yards on 29 carries. That's pretty pathetic. But, according to Beamer, that was kind of the game plan. They thought they could take advantage of the Arkansas secondary. But, like I said, I may be a little over the moon, Shane, but I think Arkansas right now, again, I know it's early, but based on what we saw from Alabama, Texas, I think Arkansas, certainly, you can make the case, favored to win the SEC West, and they get Alabama at home. That's going to be a damn epic showdown. Thoughts on this one?
I'm with you, man. I'm all in on Arkansas, and not so much just for how well Arkansas played, because they didn't. I mean, you got to remember there were still 100 yards worth of penalties in this game too, so it wasn't beautiful, but they did what they want to do. If they wanted to run, they ran. If they wanted to throw, they threw. South Carolina could not stop them, especially on third downs. But I don't, like you said, I don't want to bury South Carolina either, because they didn't bury their heads, man. I mean, they almost made this a ball game late there in the fourth. There was a couple. I mean, I pulled up the edge of my seat because I had a lot of money on this game. I was like, oh, Arkansas is going to beat this shit out. I mean, this is my wager of the week, So, but which I still got, But South Carolina did make it interesting there at the end. There's a lot of fight in this team, and they got to they got to get that running game going. South Carolina cannot. You can't play in the SEC without running. You can't do that. And that offensive line, I felt like they did a little bit better at times, but still Spencer was running for his life at times. So I don't know. South Carolina still got some work, but they got some fight in them. And I still think there's an opportunity for them to win some games this year, some significant ball games. But Arkansas, clear cut for me right now, and that's more to do with the other teams in the West not as good as I thought they were.
And, I think it was this time last week, Shane, we were saying South Carolina awful on third downs. Average distance to go to convert was 9.8 against Georgia State, if my memory's correct. This game, Shane, average, they were 3 of 10 on third down. Again, that's awful. Average distance to convert, 10.6. So that means they're losing yards on first and second down. I mean, that's and you flip it to Arkansas. Arkansas was good on third down. They only had 3.9 average yards to go. So third down success is set up by converting, winning downs first and second. South Carolina simply not doing it at this point in time. They have got to get that corrected, and there's no time to sit here and not get that corrected, because we got Georgia coming to town next week. God forbid, number one in the country. But I do want to make the one point, Shane, you hit on it a little bit. I was very impressed by the fact that South Carolina, there was absolutely no quit in this ball game. Late in the second half, it was clear Arkansas could do whatever they wanted. They were going to beat the Gamecocks, but they were fighting, and they almost backdoored this bad boy. And a lot of teams quit on the road in the SEC, but South Carolina, like I said, there was no quit in this team. And I think if I'm a Gamecock, at least I take some solace in that this, what you gain from this, which is, I don't want to say a moral victory or anything, but you can still build off that going into next week. Maybe you start hitting on some of these big throws and you make it a ball game against Georgia. I certainly, we're just sitting here hyping up Arkansas. It's not like they just blew your doors off and you were uncompetitive. There was a point in the third quarter, it made it look like, the door was cracked open for you to get it done. You just lost to a much, much better team, in my opinion.
That's right. And I'll tell you, man, South Carolina has got two of the most electrifying players in college football with McDowell and Lloyd. And if they can't give it to them out of the backfield, they are going to have to find some creative ways to get these guys the ball more often. There was Lloyd barely missed a screen there that could have easily went for 40, 50 yards. Could have been a game changer. They missed that opportunity. But, if you can't, they're going to have to get creative. They're going to have to put these boys in the slots or something. These kids got to get more touches. And I think if South Carolina can figure that, how to get these boys in space, again, they will be able to move the ball on just about any team in the SEC. But until then, they're going to struggle. And like you said, you can't be behind the chains. First, second down, those are pivotal. You got to make third down at least have the ability to get a first down. You're sitting there at 3rd and 12. There's not a lot of plays you can dial up. You can't be too creative at 3rd and 12. Right. So. They're gonna have to. They're still working some things out, but South Carolina, I'm not giving up on them yet.
Now, Shane, this is a perfect opportunity to let the audience know we are sponsored by Guardian Brace. Our buddy Tyler up there, big Razorback fan. He's the one that hooked us up with this sponsorship that's helping the podcast. Guardian Brace has developed a next generation of knee braces that they call rehabilitators, and those are rehabilitative wearable technology engineered to reduce and eliminate knee pain, Shane, by simply walking on the brace for at least 3 hours a day for 90 days. If you have an ACL injury, a meniscus, or bone-on-bone, you have chronic knee pain, you're trying to avoid knee surgery, we all know how much that can cost, hit up the Guardian Rehabilitator. It could be your solution, Shane. So head on over to freebody.io for a risk-day, 30-day free trial. Call 727-526-0108, and all this information can be found in the show notes. And we bring that up, Shane, because the Guardian Brace injury report, Sam Pittman, Shane Beamer, we got some injury updates that are kind of critical for the upcoming season. So let's kick it over to our coaches.
Hey, Sam, what does it feel like that you have a blueprint for a game and you come in and you execute the blueprint, they really can't stop you, where your program is that you're able to do that?
Well, it's a line of scrimmage game in this league, and it depends on if you want to make it that or not. We do. We want to make it a line of scrimmage game, and it feels good, to be honest with you. I think everybody in the stadium felt good on the first 3 possessions when, we were, we didn't make a 4th and 1 in the third or the fourth quarter down there, but made close 4th downs, 3rd downs and 1s, and none of them. We really wasn't great big plays involved in there. It was just kind of churning 4 and 5 yards out at a whack. And to answer your question, Tom, it feels really, really good. We got a lot of work to do, but I'm really pleased with where we are as a coaching staff and as a team.
That fourth quarter took an hour and 12 minutes, and I mean their safeties.
Offer an update on Catalan and Slusher. Didn't see them out there. Can you?
Slusher will be back next week. Catalan, y'all want to talk about that or not?
Yeah, I think people want to know what's going on. There's been a lot of stuff out there.
Catalan is having surgery on his shoulder, reconstruction surgery on his shoulder, so he won't be back this year. And I feel for him, and we've had conversations about it, and I'm gonna let him be away from the building a little bit. He's down. You would be too. You put in all that work, and for 2 years you're not able to play. So with that, Simeon Blair was the next highest defensive vote getter for captain, so we made him captain yesterday in our team meeting, and the team was ecstatic about that. I'd also talked to Cat about that, and Cat had also talked to me about it, about since he wasn't going to be able to come back this year, that it would be nice if Blair was able to be a captain, and it just so happened he was the next vote getter. Slush, I believe, will be back. He was close to getting back this week, but we just felt like it'd be safer for him to come back next week. But I have no doubt that he'll be back next week.
Like a day of missed opportunities for both offensively and defensively. Just how frustrating is that to feel like you're right there but just can't do it?
Yeah, no, very. We felt like we had a great advantage with our receivers and tight ends versus their defensive backs today. So while we threw it like we did, we certainly had some guys running open in the secondary, had the ball to AB early in the first, I think that was the first quarter, on a post route that, we weren't able to come down with it. And then there were other opportunities as well. But, that's part of it, defensively as well. They're a load, obviously that quarterback is, and we got to stop the run and get ourselves off the field as well. But certainly we had a lot of opportunities out there in all 3 phases, but again, proud of the way that our guys continued to fight and battle, and I felt like we were going to win the game up until that last drive right there when we got the safety or whatever they called back there.
That's right. Shane, it looked like you guys were really wanting to concentrate on the pass, and maybe not so much ignore the run, but say we got to win with the pass. What was that game?
Yeah, we felt really good, David, about our ability to throw the football. There's no question about it. Not that we didn't with the run game, but they had 2 starters out in the secondary with Catalan and Slusher today. That was big losses for them. And watching Cincinnati last week, Cincinnati had some opportunities in the passing game that they weren't able to capitalize on as well. So we felt like we could certainly take our shots downfield, which is what we did. We've got to be able to run the football. There's no doubt about it. But each week is different with how we're going to try and win football games. And today was, we liked our matchups in the passing game for sure. Juice Wells, Jalen Brooks, Stogg. There's AB. There's a lot of guys that Juju that showed what they can do when the ball's in their hands. Jaheim. But there's no question. We've got to be able to run the ball and stop the run to win football games, especially against a team like Arkansas that, they just line up offensively and just try and bludgeon you to death with the tackling their guys as well. We got to be able to help our defense also and stay on the field.
And then a couple more injury updates real quick, Shane. My goodness, that Jalen Catalan one is tough for Arkansas. You hate that. You hate that all around. This is one of the best players in the country, out once again. I mean, there's just not much.
Plus, he came back,
Right. I mean, he could be in the NFL right now. He was trying to make it a money year for him. So that's just heartbreaking. You hate to see that. Dominique Johnson, the running back, he didn't play. He's getting much closer to the field, but hopefully he can play moving forward because they got that big A&M game coming up. Georgia, we'll get to them in a second, but A.D. Mitchell hurt his ankle, but it's not expected to be serious. So that is terrific, terrific news. And speaking of the Bulldogs, like Beamer just said, Cam Smith, their all-conference corner, he is expected to be okay, which is terrific news because if South Carolina's got any hope of springing the upset next week, they can't do it without Cam Smith. You know what?
Yeah, for sure. Man, I hate to hear it for Cat. That's just the story, him coming back, and hopefully this ain't the last time we hear from him. But damn, I mean, this was the year.
Well, Shane, on a more positive note here, I know you're excited to talk about it. Your Tennessee Vols, Shane, back in the top 25, and then just like a Tennessee fan, you're thinking, oh my God, we were in the polls for a week. We're about to blow it. But that's not what happened. This is a new era under Josh Heupel. Tennessee goes on the road, wins 34-27 over a ranked Pitt team in overtime. Yeah. And speaking of an award, Shane, I want to give this out. Assistant Coach of the Week. I'm giving it to Tim Banks, defensive coordinator. Shane, how often we have to hear all off season this Tennessee defense? Well, Tennessee's only as good as their offense can take them because this defense is garbage. Yeah. They got no playmakers. And they were not flawless by any means, but you know what they did do, Shane? They hit this quarterback 16 times. We're not sitting here rooting for injuries, but they knocked the starting quarterback out. That was huge in the game. 4 sacks. How many Tennessee fans were saying, well, my God, we couldn't even get a sack on Ball State? Well, they sacked Pitt 4 times. 1 interception by Trayvon Flowers that Tennessee was down 10-0 in the ball game. I think they would have lost this game, Shane, if Pitt went up 17-0. It just had that feeling like Pitt was dominating, but an interception in the end zone swung that momentum. 2 forced fumbles by the Tennessee defense. Tim Banks earns my Assistant Coach of the Week award. His group was it's not often you can say a Tennessee defense won you a ball game, but this is, I think, where you want to be if you're Tennessee, Shane. You don't want it to just be all on your offense. And I know Josh Heupel and Hendon Hooker, we should have one of the best offenses in the country, but a complete team, Shane, going on the road, beating a ranked team, you're going to need your defense to step up because this is going to happen 3 or 4 more times in conference play. You're going to need your defense to step up a time or two to win a tough ball game, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head when they say you're only as good as your offense. I think we're only as good as our defense. Yeah. And they had an opportunity, don't get me wrong, it started out ugly. I was telling Mike, we were texting back and forth. I said, the only thing about us being this fast is nobody goes 3 and out faster than we do. And you do that 3 times in a row, you're looking at the scoreboard like, damn, So I was afraid to get too far behind. It felt like the momentum was going to be a thing here, but just battled back and forth. Tennessee played hard on both sides of the ball. They never gave up. I liked it. I loved the receiver Tillman, coming up. Yeah. Hyatt did great. I think, we're starting to see some of these other, even the running game. That's one thing that I guess if I was going to put like a little asterisk, something that probably needs improvement is that rushing attack. Yeah. We don't want to get too one-dimensional here, but that's the beauty of a Tennessee offense is if you do get down a couple scores, you're not out. You could be right back into this thing. So the defense giving us the opportunity to do that I commend your assistant award there.
Can't overlook this. I almost did, Shane, right before halftime. I believe there was 12 seconds left in the ball game. Pitt was getting a little cute. Mm-hmm. They were trying to see if they could steal a score here, but instead Tennessee's defense sacked the Pitt quarterback. Forced a fumble, they jumped on it, and Tennessee added a field goal right before halftime. And hell, you win in overtime. Those are the plays that get overlooked, but they're critical in winning the ball game. Brew McCoy, Shane, he was the one that really got the offense going. He's starting to come along. He had his best game yet as a Tennessee Vol. Hendon Hooker was pretty. They started very slow, but he finished 27 of 45, 325 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Tillman, 9 catches, 162, and the touchdown, the game winner. But, Shane, this, you got to admit, you were nervous here when
Hell yeah, I was nervous. I'm always nervous.
Tennessee had complete control of this ball game, Shane, and then Pitt blocks a punt. And then you're thinking, oh, God, here we go again. And then the very next possession, Jalen Wright fumbles. Pitt got the ball right back. Oh, God. And then Trayvon Flowers muffs a punt. I mean, Tennessee was trying to give his damn game away. I'm not saying that they didn't deserve to win. Again, it's incredibly difficult to go on the road and win against a Power 5 team, and not even taking into consideration this is a ranked ball club. This is not some scrub team Tennessee was playing. You go into overtime, Hendon Hooker scores a touchdown, and then they get a flag, and it's like, oh, God, this is the Tennessee way. But this is a veteran quarterback, a veteran team. They didn't flinch, Shane. Right back, scored a touchdown. And you flip it back the other way. Pitt, they had their backup quarterback. It's 4th and long. You're thinking, okay, we got this. Then Pitt converts. You're like, oh, my God, this is the Tennessee way. And then here we got another 4th down, and, of course, that was the one that defined the game, incomplete. This is a resilient Tennessee team, unlike we have seen in recent seasons.
Yeah.
And, hell, even if you, like I said, you almost give this one away, all that matters, Shane. If we go 6-7 weeks down the line and Tennessee is, sitting here at 8-0 or 7-1 or whatever the record could be, no one is going to be saying, well, remember they almost lost to Pitt. All they look at is if you win or win or lose the game. And Tennessee got it done on the road.
Mike, it's a top 20 win. This is a huge win for Heupel and company, and it felt like there was a couple times we were going to squander it, but that's what Tennessee does. We squander these things, And that little catch on the sideline, that one was the prime example. When I watched that replay, I was like, oh shit, he did step out. I was like, wait, that's not supposed to happen. This is Tennessee. So no, I was pumped up for the boys. They played hard. Again, leaned on the defense there late in the game to get the victory. I mean, when's the last time that's happened? Yeah. So this is a new Tennessee ball club, man. Top 20 win. Look how excited Heupel was, jumping in the arms of his players, dancing after the game. Man, these guys are all fired up. They're ready, man. Tennessee's hot, and I want them. And short of the mistakes that they made, this could easily have been a blowout, even though they started down 14-0. So I think the sky's the limit for these Vols, and I'm excited. I'm watching them grow, man. We're here, baby, and it. I don't know. I'm just proud of them.
We're
it's like my kids, It's like my kids, I watched them. We've been through some bad times, but look, now good things are happening.
Hey, we're not ready to crown them just yet, Shane. But to me,
I am. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know about you, Shane, but to me, this feels like a game where, all off season, that oftentimes Tennessee is hyped and they're often overhyped. This is a type of ball game where you win it, and I think the players believe the hype now, and they have the uber confidence. We'll get to their next game. I mean, it's a joke, but then you got Florida coming in. I mean, there is an outstanding opportunity, and then all of a sudden, I mean, maybe LSU rights the ship, but that does not look like a challenging game either. If the confidence grows, if we eliminate the mistakes, Tennessee could have a very, very, very special season here.
And I got a buddy that texted me, and I want to give him a shout out, Bucky, good friend of mine. And he's like, he made mention, you got to remember, this was supposed to be Army this week. And, so now we don't have to waste a whole week of preparing for an offense we'll not see the rest of the year. We can actually work on some of the mistakes we made with Pitt and better correct ourselves as a tune-up game, so when we play Florida, we'll be better prepared. So I just thought that was a really interesting point, something I didn't think about, but that's who we should have been playing this coming up week.
All right, Shay, speaking of red hot, I cannot believe more people are not focusing on this team here. Mississippi State goes on the road, takes care of business, 39-17. most of you probably missed it because this damn thing kicked off at 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, and I think they even kicked off a little late. I know, they call it Pac-12 After Dark, Shane. I called this one SEC in bed because I literally watched it in bed, and I hit the power button as soon as it was over. I went to sleep immediately. But Arizona came right out, Shane, scored a touchdown, and you're thinking, oh, God, this is going to be a wild night. Mississippi State outscored them 39-10 the rest of the way, and 7 of Arizona State's 10, Shane, it came on. Mississippi State was driving, they fumbled, and Arizona returned it all the way to the 4-yard line. So I don't care if you got Georgia's defense from last year. You're probably going to give up a touchdown in that situation. So Mississippi State just thoroughly dominated this ball game. Will Rogers, 39 of 49, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. And that interception, Shane, it hit his receiver right in the damn hands. The ball goes flying up. It's like, that ain't on Will Rogers. I was this Arizona quarterback that we were hyping up. I call him a homeless man's Johnny Manziel. I mean, he's like a scatterbug back there. He makes plays with his feet. He can throw it down the field. Not against his defense, Shane. 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. They were all over this cat. Mississippi State 6 of 6 in the red zone, Shane. 36 points. I mean, this was a game Mississippi State loses in seasons past, but they just utterly dominated a Power 5 team all the way across the country. And if you ain't paying attention to Mississippi State, you're missing out. And I'll tell you who's missing out, Shane, all these damn pollsters that won't put Mississippi State in there. They're one of the top 20 teams in the country.
Mike, this is my wife. She got on to me because I'm watching this thing from my phone in bed, like the lights glowing. I got my AirPods on, and I made it to half. I couldn't finish it. I'm old, man, But I finished it the next day, and Mike, and my takeaway from Mississippi State is this team, buddy, at times they look surgical on offense. They look dominating. I mean, they just stifle on defense. But then they do boneheaded mistakes, and this is one of those things similar to Tennessee. If they would have put 60 minutes together, buddy, this would have been a 40-point knockout. This wouldn't even have been close. They let Arizona stay in this game. It was not a game. It was clear. It was clear as day that Mississippi State was the better program on the field, and it is disappointing that they are not top 25 because they are a top 20. They are a top 15 team right now, I think. I mean, that's just how good they're playing, and they're doing everything that they need to. And if they could clean it up just a little, I'm telling you what, brother, and they're doing it. That's one thing. I saw progress from week 1 to week 2, and if I see that going into week 3, they're dangerous. I wouldn't want to play them.
No, absolutely not. Well, maybe just some more motivation from Mike Leach and company because they're going to need that edge next week going to LSU. But we'll have all week to talk about that one, Shane.
A herky-jerky game, I guess you could say. How would you kind of characterize the team's performance?
I thought we played really hard, and I thought they played hard too. I thought both teams played really hard. Herky-jerky is a pretty good way to say it. I thought that when we played with 11, we were, they never stopped us when we played with 11. We'd go out there and play with 8 or something like that. They did. And then I thought it was a complete team win, offense, defense, special teams. But like you say, there were some big errors. And they could have been magnified more, except for they made big errors as well, So, and of course, both sides, if they play hard, they're going to force guys to make errors too. So
you kind of mentioned it there, the errors on both sides. I guess just how big was it for you guys to get those 3 interceptions? I think there was another 3 turnovers on down to kind of combat, the turnovers you guys had that kind of gave them a little bit of momentum at certain points.
Well, I thought the turnovers kind of washed out really, but I think that the biggest thing was our defense stopping them on 4th down. I think both ways. First of all, offensively being ahead, so they had to go for it on 4th down, and defensively stopping them on 4th down I thought was pretty big. And I thought that was a pretty good example of offense and defense complementing one another. But, we got to polish things up. We got to be sharper. And, Guys that play hard and have good effort usually improve, and we just gotta make sure we do that.
Man, it was a disappointing day in a lot of ways for the SEC, Shane, and certainly for our upset pick here. Kansas State, oh my God, 40, Missouri 12. It was just a shellacking here. Missouri scored. They were up 3-0, Shane. I was feeling good. I was like, okay, we're going to give us a ball game here. Kansas State scored 40 of the next 43 points that were scored in this ball game. Missouri scored as time expired to, I don't want to say make it respectable or close. This was just a thorough, just destruction. Brady Cook, 2 interceptions. They brought in a backup. We'll get to drinking here in a second, but he said, we basically brought him in to keep Brady Cook alive. Jack Abraham threw 3 passes. 2 of them were intercepted, including the first one he threw. Man, I guess Kansas State really is as good as old Steven made him out to be, Shay, because we were hyping up Missouri, their run defense, number 1 in the country. K-State just picked them apart. 43 carries, 235 yards, 5.5 per carry, 4 touchdowns on the ground. Missouri is still huge liabilities on the defensive running game, and they got to look themselves in the mirror, Shane, before SEC play gets here, because they've got some real issues on this team.
Yeah, no, I mean, we just touted the defense, and it's like, they took a day off, and then the running game, Mizzou, like everything they did good last week, they did terrible this week, and that's a little discouraging, because I thought, hey, we're gonna keep that running game going, we're gonna keep that tenacious defense play going, and they got a real shot against Kansas State, but it just went right out the window. When your quarterback's the leading rusher, something's wrong, and typically it's in the trenches. So that's something they got to correct real quick, because again, you've got to be able to run in the SEC. If you're not, then people are just going to pin their ears back, and Cook's going to be running for his life.
Yeah, and you asked me leading up to this one, Shane, how many touchdowns Luther Burden going to get? I said 2. That's how many touches he got in this ball game. And I don't know what in the hell we're doing if he's just getting 2 touches. I mean, he should be getting 2 touches a drive. We've got to be taking shots to him. We have got to be getting the ball in his hands as much as humanly possible. I don't know how much of the playbook he's got, but he's been there long enough. We should have 20 plays he can handle. He's on the bag of chips for a reason. Shane, get him the ball. He's your best player. But let me ask you this, because you're starting to see it a little bit where some people are saying, well, hell, is he just a snake oil salesman, or he's touting up the progress, but we're not making it. What's up with this offense? Should we put him on the hot seat? And I'm not trying to put down Missouri at all by saying this, Shane, but who are you going to get that's going to be, some elite coach that is dying to take this job? And we sing in the praises of Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Well, there was a point in time early in his tenure, much like Drake right here, where they were ready to run his ass off too. And I understand it maybe at, Florida. Their expectations are to win the national championship. At LSU, they're winning national championships. You ain't getting it done. Your ass got to go. At a place like Missouri, where Drink is recruiting better than they've ever recruited before, where they may not be world beaters at this point in time, you have got to invest in your program and invest. I don't know how much. It's an issue that they're every year is a different defensive coordinator. That's a huge red flag in my opinion. We have got to get some continuity. We have got to have some belief. We have got to give time at a place like Missouri. So I'm not saying Drinkwitz is the best coach in the country or anything like that, and he's a slam dunk to turn it around at Missouri. But firing a coach every 3 years at Missouri, I guarantee you, we've seen it at Tennessee. That gets you nowhere.
You got to buy in. You got to buy in your coach. Hell, I would even give him an extension. And I know it sounds nuts, but these recruits need to see that. They need to see that your coach isn't on the hot seat. He's trying to build from within. Protect the borders. And Missouri has a lot of talent out there, and if they can do that, which they've been doing, and keep building off that, then you got to give them a shot. I'm with you here, man. You buy in. Eli has done some very good things up there in Mizzou, and I think the road ahead, I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. But there's going to be, you don't have a quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
There was a reason they tried to get every damn transfer in the, you know.
Exactly.
And they got and they've got a
Mike.
touted freshman.
If they got one, we'd been talking something different.
Right, and they got a touted freshman that many people across the country, including Tennessee and Josh Heupel, really wanted in Sam Horn. Maybe he's your future, but he's just not ready yet. Maybe there comes a time where he emerges, and you know it probably is not going to be this season. Shade, you can't ask a true freshman to come in here and dominate the SEC at the game's most important position. Georgia and Alabama don't even ask quarterbacks to come in and dominate as freshmen outside of maybe like a Jalen Hurts, who, let's be honest, he didn't dominate. He filled his role and he excelled at it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's the height of stupidity to have a guy in here. We see plenty of positivity, and then we say, well, hell, this ain't working out. Let's get rid of him. And all they're going to do is hire a Drinkowitz 2.0 and hope, you know,
Exactly.
that it's even better, which is not going to be.
Yeah, no, you've got to believe that the hire you made originally was the best hire.
Yeah.
You know, if you swung and missed a couple of times, you're not going to get another opportunity. So just double down, buy in. Let's build this thing, because there is some youth on this program with a lot of talent. You got a potentially game-winning quarterback. You got one of the best wide receivers. I wouldn't say wide receiver. I'd just say athlete.
Yeah.
One of the best athletes in college football. You know, the future is bright. It's just you got to build it, you know?
Bill just thrashes Vanderbilt, which we kind of expected, but we were hoping maybe lightning in a bottle would catch or something. But 45-25, Mike Wright actually even got benched in this ball game. Shane, he was 8 of 15 for 35 yards and an interception. We found out this Wake Forest quarterback was as good as they said. Shade, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. They went through Vanderbilt's defense like a damn hot knife through butter. Not a whole lot to say here, but Vanderbilt just clearly a long way to go. And Wake Forest came in ranked. This was, you know, I don't want to say they're one of the best 25 in the country, but they certainly looked it on Saturday against an overmatched Vanderbilt team. They did what you're supposed to do against Vanderbilt. And, you know, you kind of just hope, I think if you're Vanderbilt, you can put this one behind you and rebound next week against Northern Illinois, a team you should be able to compete with.
Yeah, and there was a lot of fight. I will say that, Mike. You know, again, this isn't a game that they just gave up, and they fought tooth and nail to the very end, and unfortunately, they just didn't have enough talent, enough depth to go. But it's a top 25 team, you know. So I'm very impressed at this point with Vanderbilt than I thought. They're a lot further along this year than I thought they would be.
Yeah, hell, they're already over their over/under win total. You know what?
Yeah, come on now.
Now, speaking of a lot of fight, oh my God, Shane, we were mocking San Jose State. I was just praying to God that, San Jose State didn't pull the upset on the Plains, but Auburn held on 24-16, especially after I guaranteed their coach was not going to get another SEC win. I was just imagining, I don't know if there's San Jose State fans out there, but if they found that clip, they were going to have a good time with it. But man, do we have some issues on the Plains, Shade? I thought they were just going to tear through this team, but mistake after mistake after mistake kept San Jose State in it. TJ Finley, 167 passing yards and interception. They bring in Robbie Ashford, who was a spark in the opener, 1 of 3 for 1 yard and 1 interception. That ain't going to get it done. Our shining, our silver lining here, Auburn rushing attack just tore through San Jose State. That's why you won the ball game. 210 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, but 2 turnovers by Auburn really made this an interesting game. Auburn didn't have a single 10-play drive against a team that you should have owned on the field, and now you got Penn State coming to town. So, man, they got a lot to correct on the Plains this week. You know what?
Yeah, a little discouraging, stupid things, stupid plays, stupid, penalties, turnovers. I thought we were in better shape going into this game. But again, Mike, ugly win, still a win. So I'm not totally discouraged, about the future of this program. But this is a team that needs to be flawless right now. There's a lot of people watching. Unlike Mizzou, there's a lot of people standing in line for that job. So to keep them away, you got to keep winning, and you can't be going toe-to-toe with San Jose.
Yeah, and you put this all behind you, Shane, if you beat Penn State, which is the first SEC on CBS game nationally televised. But on the flip side, if you embarrass yourself, there's going to be no end to the mockery. So huge week for Auburn. We're going to be talking about it all week. But last thing here, Shay, we got a little cupcake update here, a little dessert for the rest of us. Georgia beat the hell out of Samford, 33-0. I mean, they didn't even try in this game, yet they won by over 30 points. Not really anything to talk about in this game aside from the injury to A.D. Mitchell, which we hit on already. He should be okay, not going to be long term. Ole Miss beat Central Arkansas 59-3. Ooh, doggy, Central Arkansas is terrible. And LSU beat the brakes off Southern 65-17. I mean, I got nothing on those games. Any thoughts on those?
We even got fans running down on the field during the plays. Like, they didn't care.
That was the highlight of the game right there.
It was like
anybody that missed it.
Seriously, it's like Pee-wee football.
Yeah, anybody that missed it. I mean, this guy, he must have been drunk or on drugs or something, but he literally
he's high as a kite.
Walked onto the field. He was watching the game from about the 10-yard line until the police came and got him, and then he seemed bewildered that they wanted him off the field. I mean, it was one of the best clips I ever seen.
He couldn't believe it. So, yeah, that was the highlight of that game, but, hey, Mike, it was a hell of a week, brother. It wasn't pretty, but, there were some good things. There were some bad things. There was things we can learn from, but season's not over. There's not one loss, especially like that Texas A&M. I know it sounds stupid. I know. I'm just super optimistic here, but, you still control your destiny. You win out. You still the world's your oyster. So, it sucks because you'll never look at App State again. I trust me. It took me a long time. I think they beat us. We were number 9th when App State took us down. They beat Michigan. We got to hear those stories over and over again. You paid a lot of money for that, but that's okay. Build off of it. You haven't lost anything in the SEC right now. So I'm just, again, talking these guys off the ledge. Florida Gators, again, don't be discouraged. You're further along than you were top 20.
Right.
You went from a fired head football coach to a top 20 program. You're still going to be what are they now? Are they top 25 still?
Yeah, Florida's still in the top 25.
Yeah. So, don't hang your head. You're still in good shape there. So, South Carolina, I thought there were some positive things come from that game. There's plenty of talent. The future's bright. So, Mizzou's got some work to do, but they've got some athletes. But all in all, man, it was, another great week.
Now, Shane, I know this has been a long one, but we got one final thing here. Opening lines are out for next week. So, I love to run these by you real quick. And I love to get your guesses on it. But I'm going to start with your Vols, Shane. They're hosting Akron. What do you think the opening point spread was for that one?
Oh, 60, 70?
50. Tennessee favored by 50.
Oh, damn. I was joking.
Have you ever seen a Tennessee line minus 50?
No, never. In fact, I may put money on Akron just because I ain't ever seen something like that.
How about this one, Shane?
Wouldn't that be something? You win by 7 touchdowns, but you still lose the bet,
Louisiana Monroe at Alabama. What are the line for that?
Alabama minus 42.
Close, 48. Look at these lines we got here.
Okay. Oh, looks like a fun week so
South
far.
Florida at Florida. What do you got for that one?
Florida minus 31.
25. You were pretty close. Now here's much closer. Vanderbilt at Northern Illinois. What do you got for that one?
I still think they're going to go with Northern Illinois. Nah, Vandy minus 1.
Boom. Nailed it. Vandy minus 1. Penn State at Auburn. What do you got for that?
Penn State minus 16.
Only 3.
Oh, wow. Okay. I get behind that.
How about Ole Miss at Georgia Tech?
That's not what I thought it would be. I just thought that's what Vegas would think it is. Who is it? Georgia and Virginia Tech?
Ole Miss at Georgia Tech.
Oh, I was way off. Ole Miss at Georgia Tech. Give me Ole Miss minus 12.
Almost nailed it. 13.
Oh, okay. They're going to kill that one. I like that.
How about this? Miami at Texas A&M.
Oh, man, this one's tough. I'm still going to go A&M minus 4.
5. A&M favored by 5.
Okay.
All right, this is going to be the game of the week here. Mississippi State at LSU.
Mississippi State minus 4.5.
Close 3. And then last but not least, I hope this is a great game. Maybe this will be game of the week. I hope so. Georgia at South Carolina.
Georgia minus 23.
26.
Oh.
Come on, Spencer. Get us, make us a ball game. You know what?
Come on, man.
5-star versus the mailman.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm running out of time.
Okay, brother. Well, hey, I appreciate you. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by on this 5-hour podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, you went full Rogan on this one. All right, see you guys. Go Vols.